Before we begin, I need you to listen to this very, very carefully because this message did not find you by accident. The first card is the Queen of Cups reversed. And emotionally, this is heavy. This is the energy of someone who is trying so hard not to feel. Someone who keeps pretending they are fine. Someone who keeps acting like they can sleep peacefully at night, like they are not thinking about you, like your absence has not changed something inside them. But it has. And the part that is secretly destroying them is this. They know you loved from a very pure place. Maybe too pure. Maybe too deeply. Maybe you gave them more patience, more forgiveness, more emotional safety than they ever knew what to do with. And instead of protecting that love, they mishandled it. They made you feel like you were too emotional, too sensitive, too demanding, too much. But you were not too much. You were just asking the wrong person to meet you at the depth where you naturally live. And now, late at night, when the distractions are gone, when the phone is quiet, when nobody is around to validate their ego, that is when it hits them. They know you deserve better. They know they did not show up correctly. They know they took your softness and treated it like it would always be available. And what I'm seeing with this Queen of Cups reversed is emotional suppression. This person is holding back tears, holding back words, holding back an apology, holding back a confession that their pride still does not want to release. So stay until the end because this reading is going to reveal what they regret most, why they stayed silent, what they secretly wish they could say, and whether this late night regret is going to turn into real communication. And before we go deeper, if this message is already touching something in your heart, comment, I claim this energy, because this one feels personal. This one feels like someone finally realizing they lost access to a heart that only wanted to love them right. And as we move deeper, I need you to understand this. Because with the Ten of Pentacles reversed showing up here, this regret is not just emotional. This is about what they thought they could build without you. This is about someone realizing that the life they were trying to protect, the image they were trying to maintain, the comfort zone they kept choosing over emotional truth, does not feel as stable as they thought it would. Because the Ten of Pentacles upright is legacy, security, a future, something that feels safe enough to last. But reversed, it tells me this person may have chosen the appearance of control over the reality of connection. They may have acted like they were fine keeping things surface level, fine avoiding the deeper conversation, fine pretending that what you two had was not touching a part of them that nothing else could reach. But now something feels empty. And this is important because when someone mishandles a Queen of Cups energy, they do not just lose a person. They lose emotional shelter. They lose the one place where they did not have to perform. They lose the person who could feel when something was wrong, even when they said they were okay. And maybe that is why they pushed you away. Because you could see too much. You could feel too much. You loved them in a way that made hiding impossible. And instead of becoming honest, they became distant. Instead of admitting that your love was touching wounds they had not healed, they made you feel like your emotions were the problem. But your emotions were not the problem. Their inability to hold them with care was the problem. And now, when they look at what they have around them, it may look normal from the outside. They may still be going through their day, still answering messages, still laughing when people are watching. But inside, something is not settled because they know there was a future attached to your energy. They know there was peace attached to your presence. They know you brought something real into their life, and they treated it like it was replaceable. But late at night, they are realizing it was not replaceable. And the next card is going to show us why they stayed silent even when they knew they were wrong. And look at this, the Eight of Swords. This explains so much about the silence because this is not the energy of someone who has nothing to say. This is the energy of someone who has too much to say, but their own mind has become a cage. They are trapped in their thoughts, trapped in what they should have said, trapped in what they did not fix when they had the chance. And I need you to hear me carefully. Their silence was not proof that you imagined the connection. It was not proof that you cared alone. It was not proof that everything you felt was one-sided. This person stayed silent because speaking would have forced them to face the truth. And the truth is uncomfortable. The truth would make them admit that they hurt someone who was only trying to love them with honesty. And for someone like this, that kind of accountability feels like standing in front of a mirror with nowhere to hide. So they chose silence. But silence did not save them. Silence became the room they locked themselves inside. Because every time they do not reach out, they have to sit with the fact that they are choosing pride over peace. They are choosing ego over healing. They are choosing the comfort of not being vulnerable over the possibility of making something right. And that is why this energy feels so heavy. Because on the outside, they may look still. They may look calm. They may look like they have accepted things. But internally, there is pressure. There is mental replay. There is that tight feeling of wanting to say something, but being afraid of what your response might be. Afraid that you will not open the door the same way anymore. Afraid that the version of you who used to explain, forgive, and soften the silence is no longer available like that. And that scares them. Because your softness gave them room. Your patience gave them time. Your love gave them chances. And they used that room, that time, and those chances to avoid the very conversation that could have changed everything. So now, the pride that protected them before is starting to feel like punishment. It cannot protect them from memory. It cannot protect them from regret. And it definitely cannot protect them from the one specific memory of you that keeps coming back when the night gets quiet. And with the Page of Wands reversed coming out here, this memory has everything to do with the moment their energy changed, the moment they stopped showing up with the same curiosity, the moment the messages got shorter, the moment the warmth became inconsistent, the moment you could feel them pulling back even before they admitted anything was different. And I feel like that is what haunts them, not just losing you, but remembering how you noticed. They remember how you tried to understand them before you judged them. They remember how you gave them room to explain themselves. They remember how your voice changed when you were tired of asking the same questions. They remember that you did not leave all at once. You slowly became quieter. You slowly stopped reaching as much. You slowly stopped offering the same emotional access because something inside you knew loving them was starting to hurt more than it was being held. And this Page of Wands reversed tells me they were immature with something that needed care. They had the chance to show excitement, to show effort, to show movement, to make you feel chosen in a way that did not leave you guessing. But instead, they gave inconsistent energy. They gave hesitation. They gave little sparks and then silence. They gave just enough to keep the connection alive, but not enough to make you feel safe inside it. And I need you to understand this. That is the memory they keep replaying. The way you still tried to be gentle even when you were disappointed. The way you still had love in your heart even when you were starting to protect yourself. The way you looked at them or spoke to them or waited for them to finally meet you with honesty. And they did not. They remember your softness now because they cannot access it the same way. They remember your patience now because no one else gives it to them like that. They remember your emotional safety now because the world feels colder when they do not have someone who understands the parts of them they never explained properly. And the hardest part is they dismissed your warmth when it was in front of them. But now they compare everything to it. And what we need to look at next is the part they are secretly ashamed of. Because deep down, they knew what they were doing while they were doing it. And now we have the Eight of Pentacles reversed. And this is where the energy gets uncomfortable, because this is not someone who simply did not know how to love you. This is someone who, at certain moments, knew they were not putting in the effort they should have been putting in. They knew. They knew when they were giving you the bare minimum. They knew when they were answering you in a way that made you feel like you were bothering them. They knew when they were making you wait for reassurance that should have been natural. They knew when they pulled back and let you sit there wondering what changed. And I have to say this carefully. This does not mean they are some heartless person who never cared. That is not what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is someone who cared but did not have the emotional discipline to protect what they cared about. Because the Eight of Pentacles upright is effort, consistency, showing up, doing the work even when it is not easy. But reversed, it feels like someone who kept avoiding the work, avoiding the conversation, avoiding the repair, avoiding the moment where they would have to look at you and say, I know I have not been fair to you. And that is why the guilt is so heavy now, because you did not just disappear without warning. You gave signals, you gave chances, you explained your heart, you tried to communicate before you became quiet. And they know that. They know you were not asking for something impossible. You were asking for care. You were asking for honesty. You were asking for someone to stop making you feel alone inside a connection that was supposed to feel mutual. And instead of meeting you there, they let you carry too much. They let you overthink. They let you question your worth. They let you wonder if your needs were unreasonable, when really they were just not showing up with enough emotional maturity to meet them. And now that is the part that sits on their chest, because they cannot pretend they had no opportunity. They had opportunities. They had moments where they could have softened, moments where they could have reached for you, moments where they could have said something real, and they chose avoidance. But the next energy is going to reveal something even deeper. Because for some of them, they pushed you away because your love exposed something broken inside them that they were not ready to face. And there it is, the moon. And this card explains the part of the story they do not want to admit, even to themselves. Because this person was not only afraid of losing you, they were afraid of being truly loved by you. And I know that may sound strange because sometimes we think love should make people feel safe enough to come closer. But for someone who has spent a long time hiding from their own emotions, real love does not always feel comfortable at first. Sometimes it feels exposing. Sometimes it feels like someone turned a light on in a room they were used to keeping dark. And that is what your love did. Your love reached places in them they did not know how to explain. Your patience made them aware of their own avoidance. Your consistency made them aware of their own inconsistency. Your emotional honesty made them aware of how often they were not being honest with it themselves. And with the moon here, I feel fear. Fear of being seen. Fear of being known. Fear of being loved so deeply that they could no longer keep pretending they were fine living on the surface. Because you did not just love the easy version of them. You saw the guarded parts. You felt the sadness behind their attitude. You noticed the distance behind their silence. You picked up on things they never said out loud. And instead of feeling grateful, a part of them panicked. Because if they accepted your love, they would have had to become accountable to it. They would have had to grow. They would have had to be vulnerable. They would have had to stop hiding behind confusion, excuses, timing, pride, or whatever story they kept telling themselves to avoid the truth. And I need you to hear this clearly. Your love was not the problem. Your depth was not the problem. Your ability to feel was not the problem. It revealed the problem. It revealed the fear inside them, the immaturity, the unhealed places, the part of them that wanted love but did not know how to stand still long enough to receive it without sabotaging it. So they pushed away the very person who was trying to love them correctly. And now they are sitting with the shadow of that choice. Because the moon always brings things up at night. The hidden feelings, the buried truth, the words they swallowed. And next, we need to look at what they secretly wish they could say to you, but may still not have the courage to speak. And now we have the Four of Swords. And this is quiet, very quiet. This is the kind of silence that does not mean peace. It means someone is lying there with too much on their mind, trying to rest, but their heart will not let them fully disconnect. Because this person has words sitting inside them, words they have rehearsed, words they have pushed down, words they have almost sent and then swallowed again because their pride got louder than their heart. What they want to say is, I know I hurt you, not in a casual way, not in a way that can be brushed off with some vague excuse. They know they hurt you in the place where you were trying to trust them. They know they made you feel alone. They know they made you feel like you were standing in the connection by yourself, holding the emotional weight while they kept stepping back and calling it space. Space. And what their pride keeps choking back is the truth that they acted like they had time. They acted like you would keep waiting. They acted like your patience was endless. They acted like your heart would stay open no matter how many times they left it unanswered. But now, with this Four of Swords, I feel someone being forced to sit still with the consequences of that assumption. Because when there is nothing to distract them, they hear the truth. They did not protect the connection. They did not protect your softness. They did not protect the version of you that was still willing to believe in them. And I need you to understand this. They may be afraid to speak because they can feel that you are not the same person anymore. You may still have love. You may still remember. You may still care in some quiet corner of your heart, but you are not waiting the same way. And they can feel that. They can feel that the version of you who would have accepted a small message, a weak apology, a little sign of attention, has grown tired of crumbs. So now the confession feels heavier because they do not just fear your anger, they fear your calm. They fear that you have finally outgrown the version of them that kept making you wait. And the next thing we need to see is whether this regret is becoming strong enough to break their silence. And what's interesting is the Seven of Wands reversed is here. So yes, the pressure is building. But this does not feel like someone rushing in with full confidence. This feels like someone whose defenses are starting to weaken. Because upright, the Seven of Wands is someone standing their ground, fighting, protecting their position, refusing to back down. But reversed, they are tired. Tired of pretending they do not care. Tired of acting like silence gives them power. Tired of defending a version of the story that even they do not fully believe anymore. And I do feel movement around communication. But I want to be careful with this because movement does not always mean immediate action. Sometimes movement is them opening your message thread and closing it again, typing something and deleting it, looking at your page and telling themselves it means nothing, rereading old conversations and stopping on the exact words where your heart was still open, thinking maybe I should say something, and then letting fear talk them out of it. That is the energy here. It is not still. It is restless, but it is still struggling with courage. And I need you to understand this. Your distance has changed something. Your silence has changed the power dynamic. Before, they may have believed they could take their time. They may have believed you would eventually soften, eventually reach, eventually make it easier for them to come back without fully taking responsibility. But now they are not so sure. Now they feel the wall. Not a cruel wall, not a bitter wall, a boundary. And that boundary is making them realize that if they come forward, they cannot come forward with the same old energy. They cannot come with a little hey and expect your whole heart to reopen. They cannot come with curiosity and no accountability. They cannot come with regret but no change. Because communication without accountability is just another form of confusion. And you have already lived inside enough confusion with this person. So yes, this regret is pressing against their silence. Yes, they are feeling pulled. Yes, there is a part of them that wants to break through the pride and finally say something real. But the question is not just, will they speak? The question is, will they speak from the same version of themselves that hurt you, or from a version that is finally ready to understand what your love required? And next, we need to talk about your lesson in all of this and why your energy is becoming harder and harder for them to access. And the card here is the Emperor reversed. And this is powerful because this tells me the lesson was never for you to become colder. It was for you to stop handing your softness to someone who did not know how to lead with maturity. Because the Emperor upright is stability, protection, structure, someone who knows how to show up, someone who does not make love feel like a guessing game. But reversed, this is emotional immaturity hiding behind control. This is someone wanting access to your heart, but not wanting the responsibility that came with it. This is someone wanting your love, your patience, your understanding, your forgiveness, but not wanting to become the kind of person who could actually hold it. And that is the difference now. You still have love, but you also have wisdom. You still have a soft heart, but your access is no longer unlimited. And I feel like some of you had to learn that loving someone deeply does not mean abandoning yourself to prove it. It does not mean explaining your pain over and over until they finally decide to respect it. It does not mean accepting confusion just because the connection feels strong. Because for a long time, your heart may have kept trying to see the best in them. And that is beautiful. But now your spirit is asking you to see the truth too. The truth of their actions, the truth of their inconsistency, the truth of how much emotional weight you were carrying while they kept standing back, acting like they did not know what you needed. And this is why your energy feels harder for them to access now. Because something in you has shifted. You are not chasing clarity the same way. You are not begging someone to understand your heart. You are not making yourself smaller just to keep a connection alive. And they feel that. They feel the door is not as open as it used to be. They feel that your silence is not weakness. They feel that your distance is not a game. It is protection. It is growth. It is you finally realizing that love without emotional safety still hurts. And the final message is going to show what they regret most, what may happen next, and what you need to remember before you ever let this person close again. And here we have the 10 of Swords. And this is the final message because this is the card of a painful ending, but it is also the card that says the worst part has already been seen. The truth is already on the table. And what they regret most is not just that they lost you. It is that they became the reason you had to protect yourself from a love you wanted to trust. That is what is sitting with them. They know they became the person who made your heart tired. They know they became the person who made you question whether your softness was safe. They know they became the person who pushed you into a version of yourself that had to stop reaching, stop explaining, stop giving unlimited chances. And that is not easy for them to face because deep down they know you did not come in trying to hurt them. You came in with care, with patience, with a heart that was open, with a love that wanted to understand. And they mishandled that. They let pride speak louder than honesty. They let silence create distance. They let fear make decisions that their heart is now suffering for. So will communication happen? For some of you, yes, I do feel the possibility. But I need you to remember this. A message is not the same as accountability. A confession is not the same as change. Regret is not the same as emotional maturity. If they come forward, listen to what their actions are saying, not just what their late night feelings are saying. Because you do not need someone to miss you only when the room is quiet. You need someone who can value you when they have access to you. You do not need to chase closure from someone who already knows the truth. They know. They know you deserved better. They know they did not show up correctly. They know your love was rare. And now the lesson for you is not to become hard. It is to become clear. Clear about what you deserve. Clear about what you will not carry again. Clear about the difference between someone who regrets losing you and someone who is ready to love you properly. So if this reading touched your heart, comment, "I choose peace," because this is your reminder. Your softness was never the mistake. Giving it to someone who did not know how to protect it, that was the lesson.